Hello. I didn't realize the thing was gone. I was looking at something else. Anyway, hello, who's here? I don't know. Nobody ever says hi to me anymore. I'm starting to feel some type of a way about that. I'm just letting you know. I'm going to put the link in. Yeah, okay. So I have some things I'll just blabber on about until somebody decides to, joining the Dots UK. Hello. That's a new name. Do I already know you, or is this a new name? Let me see. Window. Yes. Yes. No, not that one. Oh shoot. Hang on. I gotta do it this way. I already screwed up what I was doing. Well, it's nice to have you. I didn't know what I'm doing. I am really not computer savvy. And there was a time that I was, but after HTML, that's the last thing I learned. And now I don't so much anymore. Okay. So something interesting came across my eye holes the other day in a video. He was talking about, well, anyway, he wasn't even talking about this. Hey, G Sharp, nice to see you. Good to have you. This guy was discussing, there's an older video he's talking about, cloning. Okay. And I don't even know if he was, I really don't know, but he mentioned something, and that's all that matters. Hey, SS, good afternoon. It's good to see you guys. And he said, and he was talking about I know what it was. It was an older video, and they were talking about one of these clinics, these fertility clinics, or these not fertility clinics, but yeah, where they store the eggs. So he was just going across his dots, and he says about this article, which had nothing to do with what I was thinking. So that was his thing. But this article specifically made me ask a question outside of his questions. Do you know what I mean? And you know how we have all of these, food processing plants blowing up and so forth and so on. I thought, and I also, know about the Library of Alexandria. I know about the Twin Towers and the Fifth Building. I know about these things. And I suddenly I thought, I wonder what they do. Do they really have a malfunction at the factory? I'm sorry, at the laboratory or the storage facility? Do they really have a malfunction and lose thousands and thousands of eggs? Or is there an egg in there? Because I watch a lot of sci-fi, so forgive me. Maybe there's some eggs stored in there that have some type of genetic quality that they're possibly looking for. And, how do you pull it out with that? They do that stuff. They do that in war. That's nothing outside a realm of human thinking. And if I can think of it, they can think of it. And I'm a Muppet. And so I did some research. So this idea I had of, is it possible that our crap that we're what really are we giving these little nasty shits? Okay. And here's what I found. Would you like to see? Okay, here we go. So the first thing I found, and the chat's open. I'm only filling air and talking about my little research thing I went on. So if anybody wants to join me, that's fine. It's a chill hangout and learn interesting things. However, I'll blabber on about this or whatever I feel like until someone wants to join me. So the invitation's out. Okay, so I found this. First, this was a paper that came from AAS, American Association for the Advancement of Science website. So it's AAAS.org. So you can go, and in fact, I'll just go ahead and copy it because I know some people, if you're like me, that is me there, not you. Look, He might join us later. He's on Birdwatch. But just know it's just me at the moment. He'll be in later. Okay. So this was a stem cell research and applications. Stem cell research and applications, monitoring the frontiers of biomedical research, produced by the American Association for the Advancement of Science and Institute for Civil Society. Well, that seemed like an interesting choice of words. And then we've got Chaplin, Frankel, and Garfinkel. This is from November of 1999. And look at their logos in case you're into such things, as I know I have a wide variety of friends that play here. So this is the findings and recommendations of this report are endorsed by the board of directors of America, blah, 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 a contribution to the public discussion of issues related to stem cell research and application. So you kind of get the idea here. Here we preface, we don't know if this is going to be a good idea, but maybe. So findings and recommendations. So human stem cell research holds enormous potential for contributing to our understanding of fundamental human biology. Although it is not possible to predict the outcomes for basic research, such studies will offer the real possibility for treatments and ultimately the cures for many diseases for which adequate therapies do not exist. I'd like to state, let's say for this presentation, that I am going to say, I'm presenting a case to my peers that this sounds a lot like the movie Gattaca. And I'm sure you can probably find a few other movies inside this little packet of information I'm going to bring you. So it goes on to say, basically there it's telling you, look, here's what it's going to do. Good things. We can help with Alzheimer's, people everywhere. It says the research raises ethical and policy concerns. So this research does happen to raise some flags, but these are not unique to stem cell research. Of course not. We all have them. It is essential that there be a public that is educated and informed about the ethical and policy issues raised by stem cell research and its applications. An informed public discussion of these issues should be based on understanding of science associated with stem cell research. Am I going to be allowed to talk about it, or are you going to tell me I don't understand science and give me another strike for medical misinformation? And it should involve a broad cross-section of society. That'd be me. Hello, I'm applying for the job. Okay. Existing federal regulatory and professional control mechanisms, combined with informed public dialogue, provide a sufficient framework for oversight of human stem cell research. They're already telling you there's going to be some problems. All right, we're going to have some oversights. And this is 1999, remember. Federal funding for stem cell research is necessary in order to promote investment in this promising line of research, to encourage sound public policy, and to foster public confidence in the conduct of such research. Okay, all right. Let me see here. Let me go down here too. A few other parts. Okay. So it does say things like this. So after each one, it's talking about what, how they get them. Adult stem cells obtained from mature tissues, different types. We like to have, here's ones for it's problematic for those who abuse abortion. It talks about every one of the things that you could imagine. They had a think tank and they sat around and thought, okay, this is what everyone, okay, we've got stem cells, everybody. I'm channeling boardrooms. And here's the cool things. Hello, Buffa. Hello, Affluent. Here's the cool things that we can do with stem cells. Okay. And he does his dissertation and he goes, but you see why we have a problem? And they go, yeah, because where are you going to get those stem cells? Exactly. So how do we get stem cells, everybody? Throw things on the table, everybody. Throw your ideas. And they're like, abortion. We can have people abort their babies because, you know, they get raped or something like that. We'll use that as because you can't argue with somebody who's been raped. That's horrible. Oh my God, you know. So we can make this entire ridiculous argument and murder millions of babies. But heaven forbid a rape victim have to have a baby. All right. She's being victimized twice, they say. All right. I agree. That's why it's powerful, because it's really hard to look a victim in the eye and tell them that they don't matter. Okay. But when you do that, in this case, you're avoiding looking other victims in the eye because they're not born yet. So if you had two victims there, maybe you might see differently. Okay. So, this stem cells, this Okay, that was we had an interruption for a technical difficulty. If you're new to the room, you now have been knighted. So congratulations. Go tell the world that Joni Rotten has knighted you into the Rotten Kingdom. And it allows you to say whatever you want now and post and share links on your own channel and any links in here. This is an open share room. Okay, so use your discretion. But we're all adults in here. And if you do, you know, decide, just in case you are super, super new and you do put in something inappropriate, just know that everyone in the group will retaliate against you and you won't be as welcomed. So just don't even bother coming in here and trying to be a troll and wanting to stay. If you want to be a troll, you're welcome to do that. But if you want to hang out, I would suggest you not do that. Okay, so that's what that allows you to do. You can now share any and all links, any and all ideas, even if it's a stream you saw yesterday or 5 years ago, or your information or someone else's or your today, all of that's welcome here. Okay, so back to I'm channeling boardroom. So I'm sitting there and I've got to get all ideas. So I had my little rant about the aborted thing, so we'll move on. But now I'm gonna have, okay, what about infertility? You know, people don't have babies. We got that group over there, they're working on babies. So what are we gonna do with all the extra eggs? You know, those could be used over here, couldn't they? Yeah. So they were all sharing ideas in a great consciousness. Remember, these are not monsters, they're us, and this is what they dream of. While you're dreaming of hot chicks, you know, a nightclub or the hottest guy, or you're macking out with Jude Law. These people are dreaming about this stuff. Okay. So that's what happens there. And we're not going and looking to see what they're dreaming of because we're busy looking at what we're dreaming of, and they're just us in physical form. So there's no separation here between good and bad. Okay. Yes. Okay. So we have all these ideas. Now, I happen to know a few things. And I'm scattered, so I just throw out ideas. Anything that sounds good to you or sticks to you, you're welcome to go off and do your own research on. This is just my Joni ideas, and I share them with you. Infertility. So we all know that infertility has been a military operation from the get-go. I think we can all agree that world wars, especially the second one, and you know, was an open parade to, hey, we do genetic testing and we do, you know, human testing. It's called human testing. We've moved past the cats and the rats and the pink elephants. It's time for human testing, and we call that war. And we have cute names like concentration camps, death camps, rehabilitation camps, psych wards, hospitals, teaching hospitals, teaching hospital universities, right? Doctors Without Borders, the Gates Foundation, WHO, and, the Clintons. All the same. Right. I can't tell one from another. So the idea of these little places. So let me just keep going with my paperwork. I'll get back on. Hello, Guru. Welcome. You had us cracking up the other day with your mask on, Mask Monday. Feel free to drop your link in there and share your chat as well. Guru has kind of a fun stream if you're ever looking for just something to just have a relaxing, fun adventure time, or at least some laughs, or, just, chill. It's kind of fun over there. Okay, so I showed you that paper. So that, I'll just go back up to the top for you coming in. This was the research back in 1999. These two groups here were looking about, here they are. And for those that like the patterns and the pictures, the symbols. These two groups in 1999 were actually posing the question of, what is morally and ethically correct when coming to stem cell research for biomedical research. This is 1999. So they're monitoring of the frontiers of what's to come in 2023. Okay. So, who knows how I get these places, but here's another tab that I ended up on through this chain of thoughts. So, so the combined reproductive effects of these things are on zebrafish. So I looked at, what is, what things were used. It's very well known that the Iraq War veterans have the highest rate of infertility ever. Isn't that ironic? And it was our own military that actually made them that way. That was not the enemy that was spraying them or making them sick. That was their own military and things called burn piles. Okay. And they knew it. And they come back and now they have no juice left and it doesn't work. So, oops, infertility now floods mainstream. Everybody's getting surrogate moms. Everybody's getting IVF. Everybody's freezing their eggs because now there's this huge uptick in infertility awareness, kicking off from the veterans coming back from Iraq and being infertile as they move on to their, childbearing family years. And so now we have this. Now, do you remember what year that is? Anybody else remember this phenomenon taking place for them? Do you remember this? Everybody's having infertility. How many people did you know suddenly who had, knew that they had endometriosis and that's why they couldn't conceive? I had a friend who was that RH thing and kept miscarrying. I knew people that were infertile for all kinds of reasons, all of a sudden. And of course it's there because I'm the age where we're having babies. So it was right there in our mid 20s. Anybody know what year that is for Gen X? Your mid 20s, right there around, I don't know, 2001. So all of this kind of stuff, boom, 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 going off. I plead ignorance. And then infertility rates skyrocket. They're now asking every Gen X mom if she wants, because we can't afford, now it says new, we can't afford to bank our baby's blood cord. Normally after the baby was born and the placenta was cut, that would go as medical waste and be thrown away. But they've since learned that this umbilical cord and placenta and the blood that is in it is extremely valuable, monetary and for research purposes. That they want, again, WikiHow, how to control people, let them think it's their idea, make them feel like they're a part of something. We were all asked, well, since you can't, here's a pamphlet. I remember because this happened to me. They handed me a pamphlet and they said, look, we can store your baby stem cells so that if your baby ends up being sick or having some kind of cancer later in life, they can go back to the very core blood that is theirs. This is all when they're trying to sell all of us on stem cells as a generation and as a group of young adults in the world. Okay, it's a direct hit to get us to think of things and view things in this way. So, and I can't afford that. I don't have $12 fucking thousand or 100, however fucking much it was a month to afford that. So then I get a nice little flyer that says, if you can't afford it, consider donating your cord blood. Consider donating your placenta for research purposes so that we can, and I quote, save babies in the future. And so we were all basically tricked into donating these life-giving cells to be used in research, not having any idea what that research was. All we knew is that it was going to help save babies. Okay, let's be real about what it was. So this article, when I was looking up what types of things have been used in war to cause infertility, I come across this article, Combined Reproductive Effects of These Three Chemicals on Zebrafish. And it just says that when you use these things, it makes the zebrafish sterile. Okay, so then I went and looked up. It's probably not on this anymore, but just because I think I already deleted. I wasn't necessarily planning on sharing this in case it showed up, but I looked up some of these things. This one right here. We'll just do it. Okay, so I'll just click this one. Let's just click to see what this is in. Would you like to? How many products that this is in that has been known to cause sterilization in zebrafish? Look. You can buy it in the store for your cats, for your dogs. You put it on your pets when you get rid of fleas. It's a pesticide. It belongs so it works on interfering with the transmission of stimuli in the insect nervous system. Now you put this on the back of your dog, and they tell you that there's not enough to cause any damage to you specifically, but wash your hands after you put it on. But right here, it tells me that causes infertility in a fish. Okay? It doesn't tell you that on the package, though. And it's talking about combinations. So when you start to look, and these are also used in all kinds of other stuff that we touch and put on our bodies and don't think twice about on a daily basis. Little teeny tiny poisonings, death by 1,000 cuts. Okay. Nope. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Again, still more contradiction. Why do we even have things that children can get a hold of as they pet the dog or pull out of it? I mean, I don't even have to go to a vet to have this put on my dog anymore. I can order it in a box that comes. I'm just saying. All right. So as I kept doing some research, I also found this. This was from March of 1987. You see where it's from. We all know this place. Okay. Science Direct and their journal books pages, right? All their things about stuff. Another site that is peer-reviewed stuff. So this one says ethical and legal issues in the cryopreservation of human embryos from 1987. That other one was 1999. This one is from 1987. They were already, look at that, looking at these ethical questions. in regards to, I don't necessarily want to, you know, download. Okay. So here you can just kind of look at it, the paper. So all the way back then, this is from the University of Texas of Austin School of Law. Some in vitro fertilization programs in the United States, Australia, Great Britain, and Europe are offering preservation of human embryo as a component of infertility treatment. Do you see how they tricked everybody? Although still experimental, the freeze thawing of embryos is likely to prove effective and eventually be incorporated into routine IVF practice. This communication reviews legal, ethical, and policy issues that arise for society as the physicians and patients considering human embryo freezing. Okay, now you see what that's about. Well, that wasn't even the most interesting thing I found. The threat of human cloning. This comes out of the New Atlantis. So it's a, let's tell the truth type thing. I did a little peeky peek on them. So fair, this is going to be very biased. But this is from summer of 2015. And I did find the fact that they were pretty, their information is fact-based. So you can go back and look at all of the papers and their footnotes that they make. And they are, they come from them. So they're like doing what I'm doing. They're just sharing you what these people research, what they're doing. Let me put this, I want to put this Science Direct in there in case anybody is interested in reading this paper. Isn't Clone Aid still going? Clone Aid? What is Clone Aid? Oh my goodness. Is that what they mean by think with your prick? You like that you just think and the baby appears? You don't even have to touch her. Boop, like a genie. Okay. I don't know. There is truth in everything, I suppose. Fair. Okay. Play it off as a joke. All right. Well, I'm going to get to cloning. I'm glad you're here, Affluent, because I'm going to get to cloning because I do think it is here. I do think cloning is here. I think, again, hidden knowledge, stealing information, creating destruction in order to remove something. So I believe that these clinics that are getting hit and having problems, they're actually removed. It's like the Library of Alexandria. You don't really believe they burned all the books, do you? They moved the gold under the towers. Get out of here. Something's been moved. Something's happened. It's a mirage, right? There's not really a fireworks in Beirut factory going off. You don't honestly believe that, do you? Okay. So this next article, I'm going to put it in the link for Ed as well. The Stepford wives. Exactly. The Stepford wives. And I've been talking about this for a while now. There's some interesting things. I'm on a really fun, fascinating sci-fi journey through nanodust and, skin growing over, with the birds aren't real idea, these kinds of things. Okay. The case against cloning for biomedical research. While there is currently widespread agreement that cloning to produce children would be unethical, right? This is from 2015. So there's still a current agreement. There's an agreement that cloning for children would be unethical. Huh? And even fairly broad support for its prohibition. Public opinion is more divided on the moral acceptability of cloning for biomedical research. So this is talking about cloning, okay? Not infertility. So we have a widespread agreement that cloning to make children is still unethical, but in vitro fertilization is not. Interesting. Is this the other one? No. I want to find this one that talks about, there was one article that said, talking about freezing and unfreezing, and I don't think that I have it on here anymore. Let me see. Maybe it was along these lines. No, because I pulled that over from over here. I kept everything from this tab, and then I would like pull, okay, one of these here. And I'll just tell you what it says. You can go look it up. I'm not going to make up things. Okay. I'm not like that. But one of them here was talking about the issue with freezing and unfreezing eggs and how long they stay in frozen animation. And they were wondering what the long-term effects would be on an embryo. Remember, an embryo is not an egg and a sperm. An embryo is them together. It's already the fertilization process. And the embryo begins to form, and then they freeze it at a certain point. And then that embryo remains in a state of suspended animation until it's defrosted. And then, you know, they do the implantation on it or whatever, right? Into the surrogate mother or into, you know, the surrogate womb, or because you know, and a lot of times, you know, maybe the mother doesn't have a, you know, has had a hysterectomy or something, or into the womb of the mother that's going to be holding it. But either way, it's a surrogate womb for this egg now, because that's not where it came from. It's where it has to be planted into. Anybody who likes sport, you know, animal sports racing is going to know all about this with lots of details. So, the IVF in itself is raising questions about, you know, what happens when this embryo is in this suspended animated state for a long period of time, and how long, as some of these embryos have been in this state for decades. And then, you know, it goes on. It was a law paper. It might have been that one I was just doing with the law there. I can't really remember, but it was also talking about, you know, having a baby that comes back later, you know, so the you know, parents are older, the father's died, now it's being born into a family that's not where it should have been born into, so forth and so on. Seemingly a lot more of a spiritual, or, you know, those types of ideas, as opposed to a foundation of physical science, more of what ifs. You know, what will this equal to this adult? And so they're doing research right now following children that are IVF, where they have watched how long were they in suspended animation, how long, you know, was the time between, you know, the whole process, and how they're going to end up as adults and what their behaviors end up looking like. And then that goes into, you know, an entire stream of behaviors of, you know, what's being removed from people. What are people missing? You know, that's a long time to be in a dream or in between lucid state for an embryo. I don't know what we're thinking about as embryos, but geez, that's almost, you know, it would be like an eternity, wouldn't it? I don't know. So anyway, I find all of these questions to be quite interesting, worth diving into. So let me come back over here to this article here. Okay. Well, there's currently, and I did say this, you know, open panel, I'm just killing air. So if you want me to finish reading this article or discussing this, I will. But if you want to come and chat, well, that's there too. So this was a special report, 2013. Was it 13? Yeah, 15. The threat of human cloning, ethics, research developments, and the case of action. And so while there's, we read that. So disputes over terminology surely compound the confusion. Some of the laws proposed do prohibit cloning to produce children, while permitting cloning for biomedical research, identify the act of cloning, not with the creation of a cloned human embryo for research purposes. So they're talking about, cloning in order to use that embryo as a lab rat. But only with the transfer of such an embryo to the uterus of a woman, right? So by contrast, many scientists, ethicists, and advocates use the term, quote, cloning for both practices, calling one a therapeutic cloning and the other reproductive cloning. So they're talking about cloning, say your son, you have a baby and the baby dies, they grab some stem cells, they grab some I don't know how it works, and then they clone your son from a hair on a hairbrush and bring him back to life for you, like it's Pet Cemetery. I told you we were going to find lots of movies today. And whether or not that's ethical to do. So so that's what reproductive cloning is. Therapeutic cloning is where you're going to get into the biometrics. I think this is correct. Where you're talking about making clones of the same embryo so that you can have a control group in that sense. Though both of these terms that use the word cloning, this is still not entirely accurate. So-called therapeutic cloning will not be therapeutic for any patients in the near future and will never be therapeutic for the cloned embryo, which will be destroyed. Okay, so basically they're saying that the therapeutic cloning, in other words, making them to be used as lab rats, will not be therapeutic for any patient in the near future. So why would you do it? They're literally saying that it's so far in the future that there is no therapeutic value for doing it. It's not going to help anyone in the near future. And of course, it would never be to break apart the embryo and help that embryo survive or whatever it was, because it's going to be destroyed. So it's never going to be used. So why are you doing it? That's what I want to know. That seems like a lot of wasted time and money. But you tell me it cost me $12,000 to have a rape kit analyzed, because there's not enough people to sit and analyze them in the laboratories. But here we have people spending tons of research hours and efforts that has no therapeutic value whatsoever. It just seems hypocritical and confusing to me. But if I'm wrong and I'm an idiot, and you go, oh, Joni, see, you just don't know what you're talking about because you didn't go to school. You didn't go to 8 years of medical school, right? And, you're dumb. So here's why. That's what that means. You are more than welcome to call me dumb, and please explain it to me because I don't understand it. You're right. Sounds like 3 words. Sounds like you're an ass. I want to do ass things. Okay, let me keep reading. All right. So yeah. So it says because the embryo is going to be destroyed. So they are destroying the embryo, basically aborting the program or the research study, which don't worry, they destroy the animals in the research labs after they torture them. They don't keep them alive. Do you know why they don't do that? Do you want to know why most research labs, or the research labs that do these things, kill these animals afterwards and don't give them happy homes? Because they are mentally fucked up. Even a bug gets fucked up when it's forced to fly against its will, and its wings to flap at frequencies that are unnatural and make its wings pop out of socket or fly off altogether. An animal cannot survive having, all of its hair plucked out one by one just to see what registers. Even if there's no mutilation, the idea of the experiment is traumatic to the brain of the animal or the insect, and therefore it's fucked up. And they know that on an insect level, and yet, do you get what I'm saying? They say, well, we've tortured them enough, it's time to put them out of their misery. Because that stays with the bug, stays with the animal, stays with the human for a lifetime. And they even know that in laboratories, and that's why they just chunk and don't think twice about it. Thank you for letting me use you as an experiment. Into the shredder. because it's the more humane thing to do, because that rabbit is always going to be cuddled up in a corner because somebody shocked its feet for an hour just to see how high it could jump. Okay? And that should tell you a lot. So they clearly have some idea, because they use this right here, that there's a possibility that even if they birthed that clone embryo, it would be totally fucked. I'm just saying. Furthermore, the distinction between the two implies that therapeutic cloning is not reproductive, when both are in fact forms of reproduction. Both create new human life. They create new human life, but they don't. They're just the beginning. So it still needs an environment to grow. Unlike cloning to produce children, which would be presumed only by those with a distorted understanding of the goods of procreation and family, and cloning serves as a noble aim. Okay, first of all, in order to be able to clone a rich person's dead son, they had to practice cloning a lot of other children. Okay. So never is that a noble aim, ever, stated for the record. Is anyone in the chat disagree with me? Hello, AB. Pajamas. Yes. I'm sure they do. And that's there is a lot of, when you start looking into that, Affluent, and you're looking into scandals from infertility, you find that stuff. You find doctors that were implanting their own sperm into the eggs and making little mini selves of them. That's it. That's it. I just kept reading that. In cellulator, cells don't communicate properly. Okay. Have they remade Biden? I wonder that, because, are they wearing masks or are they cloned? I have no idea anymore. They tell me they can clone things, so I must assume they've been at it for a really long time. Right. So where do they get these? So let's go down to, then this place does say this is why it is important to reject human cloning, whatever its purpose is. It's a flat no. You're not going to make any argument where this is going to be okay. Because, okay, so we created abortion because one woman was raped by her predator and became pregnant, and therefore we have to it doesn't even matter, because in order to have the ability to abort that baby to start with, we aborted a lot of babies to start with and used those people as guinea pigs. In order for you to have a cancer treatment on your baby, that cancer treatment was used on somebody else's baby who might have probably more than likely been a victim. They say this is experimental and it's never been used in a hospital before. That's the key word there. Remember, stacking the deck, or letting you assume. Narcissists let you assume things when they say this has never been done we've never performed this procedure before. No, not there. Not there. And not that name. It was called something else in the bowels of South America or Africa somewhere, in Haiti, where they were making people ill and Doctors Without Borders were coming over, or even better yet, like MASH, and we have a war. And then we have all kinds of people we get to do experiments on, not only the captives or the enemy, but we also have the military and the locals and teaching MASH units everywhere. And everyone knows that the reason MASH was so popular was because it was a war that brought some of the most advanced medical procedures to modern day hospitals, surgeries. These guys were thinking outside of the box in very stressful, tight situations, which causes the mind to start thinking really quick. Because when a mind is full of anxiety, physical anxiety, the brain goes on. It's having to factor tons of things. If I'm walking through, a zombie horde, right? I am very hyper aware of every fucking thing that is going down. If I've got to sneak past the bully or the guards or whatever, my senses are extremely high. And so I see that one over there in that corner, and I see that one on top of that building, and I see that one in that turret, and I hear that one in that tree, and I see that one over here. It's almost as if I have, I don't know, superpowers suddenly, right? So, of course, these wars end up causing these huge boosts in medical advances. It's not hard to put that dot together. And if I want to give medicine a big boost, I can't think of a better way to do it than, I don't know, war or some type of crisis that gets everyone's senses heightened. Think of all the doctors that were COVID. It got them all in a frenzy, like they just dropped honey in an ant pile. All of them just wanting to go take a lick of it. Let me have this and this idea. And it was as if it was a thought bomb that just got dropped in the middle of a big round table of thinkers and says, okay, everybody, virus, go for it. And everyone just grabbed at this. I wonder if it's got this quality, or I wonder if it has that quality. I wonder if it can do this, it can do that. And the big guys that created the virus in the first place are sitting there watching all of you just think. And if I was a god and I viewed the world from that angle, oh my God, what a great zap of energy that would be. It's almost like, have you ever kicked an ant pile and just watched the ants just go fucking crazy? Do you feel sympathetic for them, or do you kind of get a kick out of watching them rebuild it all? Like, fuck, do you have conversations like that? Fucking bitch. I hate when she comes over here and does this. I had that sand just right. The sands were just right, for crying out loud. And all the little microscopic corners were all touching. It was real nice and shiny. My girlfriend and I used to sit and have a lunch next to it during our breaks. And here she comes. And you have your own conversations with the ants. Or maybe your ants are going, oh my God, apocalypse. And they're running around trying to put the anthill back together. And you're like, Steve, come help me, avalanche, and they're digging each other out. There's some type of I'll tell you something. There's a Twilight Zone episode, the old original Twilight Zone episodes. A lot of them had, kind of space types ideas. Why? Well, because of the time that they were out. But one of them is about some astronauts that go to a distant planet, and they see this little puddle of sludge or whatever, and they realize that there's people. There's a little civilization down inside that puddle of sludge, and they start helping them. And they start teaching him things, and they start helping him erect. They're taking it's a complete, I'm not saying there's giants in this way. I don't know what I believe, but I can clearly see why we have the fairy tales of giants and aliens. This is just another fairy tale version of it, another nursery rhyme or example of another fan fiction version of a supernatural, seemingly civilization coming and down to earth and helping us, right? And then they get there, and it's time for these astronauts to go back, and they're gonna have to leave their little peoples down there and say goodbye. And one of them can't go. They worship him. Every time they see his face in the clouds, they get all excited. And hey, and he's loved by them, right? But he ends up destroying them. He ends up stepping on them because eventually, they get tired of his demands. And so he destroys himself in the process, because this group it's all metaphors. If I was a god, these are the things that I would think of. Do I want to destroy? Do I keep stepping on the ants every now and then? Do I flood their little thing just to see what they'll do. Do I really have any compassion, or has it been IVF'd out of me? Has it been cloned out of me? Was I in my little cryogenic state too long and I lost connection with humanity or reality or whatever? I don't know. And I think about the Miangs of the world, and I think about the generations that are coming up and why they seem to have so much look at me and Miang. That's, it's why I have the Miang of life. It's those Miangs. They're not human beings. They're human beings. Me, selfies, me. Mommy, look at me. And I'm when I thought of that, I was thinking about when you're a kid and you're getting ready to, like, say, jump into the pool or something, or do some cool trick on your bike. And you're like, Mom, look what I can do. Right. And somebody be watching you. Right. And so, yeah, you did it. Yes. Or maybe Mom's like, I can't look. You scare me when you do that. Right. But the kid is getting this acknowledgement. Well, when parents started putting their kids in preschools and daycares at 6 weeks old, their attention just got all fucked all kinds of ways. So now they're crying and no one's coming because there's only 2 teachers for like 12 babies. And then they get older. And now, because they're all in classrooms at 12 months old and toddling, where they're biting and pulling each other's hair and climbing on top of each other when they're cruising and toddling. This is where a lot of accidents in daycare centers, you'll have the most accident reports. An accident report is when your child gets hurt somewhere. They've either been kicked in the face, they've been pushed off, pushed down by another kid. All other kids, no teachers are accidenting your kids. It's all the kids are doing it. Being bit by another kid, scratch. All of these accident reports, you fill out several of them a day in that time frame when those kids are toddlers. That's all very traumatic. There's no mom intervening. This is a death by 1,000 cuts. There's nobody stopping that scratch. And when they're scratched, that same kid comes up to scratch them again 5 minutes later because now the teacher has to change diapers. Do you see what I'm saying? These kids have been tortured. And now they go into school. And again, no more parental. There's no parent. It gets less. The more older they get, the less adult supervision they have. And now you've got first graders out on a playground raising first graders. So they're creating their own, Lord of the Flies on the playground. And they're treating each other. They're finding their own world there. That's kind of a reset. Children of the Corn, another movie that comes to mind here. What if there's no adults and the kids had to take over? Well, that Children of the Corn is a reality. We have a group of kids, 3 generations now, who have little to no adult supervision. They're from 6 weeks and on. 6 weeks and on. They're not breastfed. They're fed junk. They're put in swings and bouncy seats. They're passed off to daycare centers, and which has a huge flux of turnover. Daycare centers have one of the highest turnover rates anywhere. So these kids could easily see 3 or 4 or 5 different adults a year, depending on where they're at, the town or the area, and the daycare center itself. You can still find some people that enjoy being preschool teachers, but the center is going to be mostly full of people that are passing by, thinking that they want to do this and realizing real quick that it's not any fun supervising 12 babies. You didn't even do that in school. You didn't even babysit 12 babies by yourself in school. So it's a very bizarre behavior that's taking place. So now when you think about that, that's true, AB. I love that picture of your stinking dog. He looks like he's got his little grand E. Okay. So now fast forward that right there and imagine what that would create in an adult. So if you never had anybody to watch you or give attention to you at all, nobody looked at you where you did your bike trick, nobody watched you jump off the diving board, nobody saw you. They saw you at your T-ball, and if you didn't do well, they told you you didn't do well. They saw you at your report card time, and if you didn't do well, that's all your parents were there, was to just critique your performances at any of these things. You see what I'm saying? There's no involvement, and even that's selfish, because soccer moms and honor students are selfish parents, a lot of them. They live vicariously through their children. I'm not saying that they're bad. That's totally irrelevant. But everyone knows of one or two in the group that is got that behavior en masse. And so maybe all of them have a little bit of it. What are you there for? Are you really there for your kids? Or are you there because you like the attention of always being the one to put together who's going to bring snacks next week? Or maybe you like, what is your attraction to it? Are you concerned that the kids might not have a snack, or do you like the thank you, Susie, for always making sure the kids have a snack? And Susie gets a big smile. And maybe at the end of the season, everybody pitches in a few bucks and gives Susie a fruit basket. I've seen it with my own two eyes. I'm not making it up. And I'd look at her and I'd think, what is her motivation here? Is she really concerned about my kid getting a snack? Or does she like the fact that we give her praise and admiration for it? Now it makes me wonder what was missing in her life, or what was going right in her life. Why is she attracted to snack something so small? We think it has to be some huge, that's a macro scale of somebody who is now, is that a bad thing? No. Maybe it's a good thing, because, who's to know? I've known Susies that did things and only did it because it was a job that needed to be done, and they did kind of enjoy it, but it wasn't they didn't get that admiration smirk that we all are very familiar with. Do you know what I'm saying? I know. Yeah. Thanks, guys. Yeah. I love the kids. I'm doing it for that. Nobody else wanted to do it. That's why I'm doing it. But you can tell when people like the praise and when they accept the praise. Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. I have a very big problem with spoiled brats. Me too. Okay, let me keep going here. Does anybody want to come talk to me? You want me to keep talking? Okay. So, anyway, this article here, we maintain that because human embryos are human beings, they must never be used for mere means for the benefit of others. That's what it says there. Human embryos are members of the human species at the earliest stage of biological development. I told you it's going to be biased, but let's read where their information, they did their research regardless. And that's all you're getting. The thing about that, that's all you're going to get at CNN anyway. That's all you're going to get at the other side of the media is, again, biased. So what's wrong with me reading biased from the other side of the biased? Do you know? Sucker mums. The attaboys. You know the difference. Do we know the difference? Yes. Yes. Oh, that's fantastic. AB is building in the garden and improving the doggy septic system. Good job. That's what we've got to be doing. All right. So they are the members. They are members of our human species. Agreed. At the earliest stage. And they are tiny in size and unfamiliar in appearance, but they are unmistakably individual human organisms. They do not become human at a later developmental stage. Occasionally, scientists will aver that science does not offer a hard and fast answer to the question of when life begins. That's when we've heard, well, we don't really know. Okay, well, if I don't know that that's going to hurt for you to kick me in the balls, but it might, how about we just not kick me in the balls? Okay, that seems like the more logical thing to do. but this is their argument. Well, we don't know what it is. That's like those fact checkers. Well, we don't know. We don't know what it is, but it's definitely not, some black goo that's, nanoparticle or something. That's what it's not. That's definitely not a CGI plane. Okay. But you don't know what it is? Yeah, no, we don't know what it is, but it's not that. Okay, fuck off. All right. The notion that it is impossible for science to answer the question of when a human life begins, or even that the question is meaningless, can be convenient for scientists who want to use embryos as raw materials in their technological projects. So because we don't know, we should just continue to do the kicking of the balls because we don't know. This person can't respond with a noise or kick us back or do anything. So we don't know, right? But it's a problem. So let's go over here. So let me show you what originally got me. So let me, because obviously my tabs, I've closed a bunch. All right. So, I can't remember what it was. Oh, fudgesicles. I wonder. Okay, here's what I searched. I can't remember, but there it is. So, okay. So I typed in like fertility clinic embryo damage. And so then you got, our nation's fertility clinics are struggling with a growing number. They have so many embryos that are not claimed and people are not paying for storage. So if they're not paying, that means that we murder their baby. Okay, awesome, Betha. Thanks for the support. That at least helps me to know. Okay. So I thought that's an interesting comment to make there. The reason I find that interesting is because when you have one article telling me that it's unethical, we're not sure about the ethics of these embryos in the first place. And then this article from 2019 says we have people who aren't paying and we need to do something with their embryos, okay? Because you said I can't destroy them because they're a human being and yet they're taking up space. All of these stories start to not make sense when you add them on top of each other. Do you get that? That makes no sense. Because in another thing, you have no problems. So if they're not claiming them, then you know what they do? I imagine they sell them like on Storage Wars. These embryos are for sale. These embryos are for sale. And remember, these embryos have been already pre-fertilized. So they took the strongest sperm, the strongest egg, and they put them together. So these are already, in some cases, Gattaca type children in the first place. Okay, you know what I mean? So that was one of the article topics. Then I've got this one that came out comes out 2 years later that says 15 million awarded to 5 people who lost their eggs due to tank failure. Well, it turns out tank failure seems to be a problem. Kind of like, I don't know, food factories blowing up. 15 million. I said that. Okay, so then it goes. This is from 2020. So this is the awarded in 2021. In 2020, Cleveland Fertility Clinic that lost 4,000 eggs and embryos in this is a different one. Pacific Fertility Center in San Francisco. This one was in Ohio. And then here's another one for Emory Health Care that says teaching hospital. It's a guinea pig hospital. This is a research hospital. That's what teaching hospitals are. And when you have a disease that's kind of rare, these are the Emory in Atlanta is where you'd like to go. Emory also has a psych research, and I was lucky enough in my younger years to participate with my oldest child in one of their studies because I thought it was fascinating. It was a freshman class, or the beginning classes, and they were doing studies on how babies perceive faces and things. And so there wasn't any damage. He was just showed happy faces and then a sad face and different facial expressions. And then they watched the babies to see what they did. And it was just a neat thing to be part of that. But anyway, to watch the process, to be a part of the process from an outsider perspective. Okay, so that's what Emory is. And so they author, we accept all responsibility for any losses or damage due to the embryos as a result of our desire to have the embryos moved. We agree to absolve and release. So that's the authorization paper that you can fill out if you want to give Emory any of your embryos. And so you could just look up, there was liability for mix-ups, frequency and claims basis over loss. So the lawsuits over damaged embryos and things, it just, look, lawsuit frequency and claims basis over loss, damage, and destroyed frozen embryos over a 10-year period. Doesn't that sound interesting? Retrospective analysis of case law, private in vitro fertilization clinic and school of law. And the results, we received a case law from January 1st, 2009 to April 22nd, 2019, using the terms frozen, discarded, lost, and damaged embryos, and calculated clinical cases using frozen embryos for Centers of Disease Control and Prevention data, the CDC. We identified 133 cases, 122 and 11 lawsuits in the state and federal court dockets, respectively. Of these, 87 courts involved alleged freezer tank failure in California and Ohio, and in 2018 and 2019. That's the one we just saw. And in the remaining 44 cases, so 87 came from these two clinics. In the remaining 44 cases, the majority, 37 cases, were brought for personal injury, breach of contract or warranty, product liability, professional negligence, unfair business practices, and miscellaneous tort. So there was 44 more cases were just of junk, right? So these 87 came from these two cases here. And then the other 44 cases came from all kinds of things, from injury to breaching of a contract. In other words, they could have just gave them away and say, we don't have them. Oops, we lost it. That's 44 different cases. And so it says a minority, 7 cases, were brought for medical malpractice. During this interval, a total of 398,256 embryo thaw procedures were reported nationally. The conclusions. Allegations range from business practices to product liability and are seldom for medical malpractice. Our results suggest that best practices in storage of frozen embryos should include not only improvements in hardware and monitoring of storage conditions of species, but also setting standards for communications among the patients, providers, and embryological laboratories regarding disposition of embryos. Well, that's a very interesting thing there. Who wants to look into that? Because this is where I think they get these ideas and these things for their clones and for their biometrics and for their growing an ear on a rat. And they're coming from aborted fetuses who we call this is all medical waste. Listen to this. Aborted fetuses, circumcisions, placenta and umbilical cord, blood and tissues, your IVF, your sperm in a cup, your egg collection and egg donation. I had a friend in our young 20s who was getting paid, what was it? I think she got $10,000 to go donate eggs. And you could do it up to 3 times. It might have been $5,000. I can't really remember, but it was a good chunk of fucking money. She did it in her early 20s. She went and did it, and they injected her with some kind of crap. And then she had a bunch of eggs, and they collected them. She was very pretty, so I can see why. It's Italian and all that stuff. And then she get a big fat check. She didn't have to think twice. And you know what she was told the eggs were going for? She was going into one of those things you see in the movies, like in the 80s, where the families are going to go, oh, isn't she a pretty girl? Honey, she looks beautiful. Let's get her egg with this guy's sperm and have a baby. That's what she thought she was doing. She thought there's going to be little mini me's running around. Not that she wanted mini me's, but that's what they told her. She just wanted the money. Do you know? Perhaps it was just sperm. Okay. So you see how interesting this little thing gets when you start picking at it. Fertility clinic informs hundreds of patients that their eggs fail in 2018. They experienced it. Did they? Because see, I wonder like that, like a extra building in the Twin Towers. If these things, they're constantly monitoring these. I'm imagining they would be. And I know I've seen a lot of sci-fi movies that show, like, oops, they take out this one baby, but they don't want anyone to know it's been missing. So they destroy the whole fucking lot of them so that nobody knows this particular embryo with this particular, because remember these embryos, their full genetic workup is done on them. They're not going to implant an embryo that's going to be all fucked up and shit. They know everything. Everything that you think that they know about fertility is 1,000,000 times more than what they tell you. So they say, no, we don't know what gene causes, someone to be an asshole. Yes, they do. They know exactly which one. They have a name for it already. You just have to dig a little further. All right. So I found this kind of interesting. So let's go. So I'm going to go, let me see. Okay, I think I did this one. How many embryos are destroyed in IVF each year? Okay, so let's look at this answer. Destroying unwanted embryos in research. This is from our favorite PubMed. Oh, here. I don't want to read the whole paper. I'm just going to read the important part. Okay. This hypothetical case is designed to test our moral intuitions. However, the view that embryos are persons also have implausible implications in real life. More than 50% of embryos die within 8 weeks of conception, a phenomenon known as spontaneous abortion. That comes out in 77. They've been doing this since 1977, people. In vitro fertilization, human fertility, 1977. Don't let them tell you that this is new. 1990. Okay. On the basis of this evidence, it has been estimated that there are more than 220 million natural embryo deaths worldwide. Those are natural deaths. Those are from the spontaneous abortion, where about 50% of them just don't develop. Okay. Now, if we suppose that embryos were persons, we would have to conclude that more than 220 million people die each year to spontaneous abortion, which is more than 7 times as many people as die from cancer. It would surely follow. Do you hear how ludicrous these people begin to sound? It would surely follow that we ought to do something to reduce the staggering death toll. We should try to discover its biological basis, and we should prioritize development of therapeutics to prevent it, given that it would have a greater cause of human death than all other causes combined. We need to stop spontaneous abortion, everybody. How are we going to do that? Well, we need a lot of babies to experiment on and abort. Does that make any sense? I'm just curious. That sounds so insane. But they're dying from cancer. And now that sounds insane. How are we going to cure cancer? Well, we got to get a lot of people sick with cancer so we can try experiments on them. Load up the syringes. Sprinkle it on their food. Pour it into their water. Let's get them all sick with cancer. That's a whole. Is that enough patients for you, Dr. Steve? All right. I mean, does that sound, am I the only one that reads it that way? If I'm misinterpreting what they're saying, then I'm really sorry. That's not what it sounds like. Oops. We switch. Yeah. They donate your eggs for a reduced price. Wow. Wow. Also, there is a shelf life. I think it is 10 years. This would be where the bereaved wife wanted her husband and have her embryos, but they've already had a child or blended family that wouldn't authorize it. I think that Buffett, that's what that one article was claiming too. Exactly that. Like, okay, let's just say the shelf life, we've cut it off at 10 years. The embryo after 10 years starts to degrade or, you know, this is our cutoff point. So what's the difference in that embryo as an adult? One that is, its shelf life was say 6 months. And another embryos or, you know, shelf life was 10 years. Are they going to have similar, you know what I mean? Or are they going to have different experiences because one was in that lucid state, that embryonic fetal stage for such a very long time? Eek, she says. Clomifene is, I'm sure I'm saying that wrong. Clomifene. Is it really called clomi? Clomifene is for overstimulation. And clomifene citrate for men too. It's put in there, McDonald's. Yep. For men, clomifene is to raise low sperm. The sperm count and the low testosterone is the cause. If food wasn't packed with estrogen, you wouldn't have to fix the men. Fair. Again, they know these things and yet do nothing to stop them. Yeah. So I think you see where, you know, what this little thing, Nations Fertility Clinic. So there's another one. National, you know, what's the dilemma? National fertility clinics struggle with growing number of abandoned embryos and the dilemma what to do with these embryos that are cast aside and who should assume ownership of them. Now, when they started, look at this. Doesn't this look like a scene from a, you know, it's Klaus Schwab. Look at the shadow. He's checking it out. You know, it's got dust and, you know, cobwebs. So what to do with them? Dr. Craig Sweet's fertility clinic in Fort Myers, this was from 2019, has resulted in nearly 30,000 pregnancies. But the pregnancies he said, have been an upside to his 28 years in the business, to helping patients fulfill their dreams of having babies. That's why he wants to give people babies. But now what to do? There's a downside to his dream. Hundreds of embryos are just sitting in a frozen state of limbo, abandoned in the center storage tanks by in vitro fertilization patients who once sought the help of Sweet's team in their journey to become parents, and then they walked away. We were not prepared for any of this. Okay. Bullshit. Then you're incompetent because I'm a Muppet. And even I can think that if I'm going to have a fertility clinic and I'm going to have embryos frozen, I would have said before we started this process, Okay, this is great that we're going to put babies in people, but what are we going to do with all the leftover eggs? Oh, shit. I didn't even thought of that. Well, that's why I'm bringing it up. I thought you might need to know. It's going to be a problem. Oh, right. What do we do with the leftover eggs? Ideas, everybody? Anybody got ideas? They were too prepared, and they were prepared for this with lots of lawyers and WikiHow, how to control people. Make them think it's their idea. Make them feel like they're part of a community. Make them feel like they're helpful. Make them feel like a hero. So by donating them, they tricked everybody. So what do we do? Put them in the vaccines. AB's got a great idea. I'm saving that for the center of the table. Push that one to the center. I got a cousin over in the vaccines area, AB. We're going to send your little idea over there. Stop spontaneous abortion by removing HPV vaccine and vaccination in teenagers. Bingo. 220 million equals 22. Right. I don't trust the stats. The numbers don't add up. Or do they? Anyway, so you know what they're going to do. So the reasons patients choose to abandon. So that a patient, why don't they go, okay, I want my eggs. There's an episode of Seinfeld where Kramer had, again, 1990s, again, look at where we're talking, late 90s, mid 90s, where all of this stuff was first being out in the thing. Seinfeld had an episode where Kramer was paying to have, he donated a bunch of blood. I mean, he went and had a bunch of blood drawn, and he was having it kept in a clinic so that if he ever gets in an accident, he has his own blood for the transfusion, right? But they want to charge him ridiculous amounts. And so he says, never mind, I'll just store it myself. And he brings the blood home and stores it in Jerry's freezer. But the idea there is what I thought of when I thought of this. So a patient just abandons it. So why aren't the parents or whoever it is, going back in, if they even remember they did it, at some point? But this is I said there's lots of movies here. This reminds me of that scene in The Beach where the guy gets hurt and they just go drag him out to the end because they won't take him anywhere. He wants to go into town to a hospital, but they won't do that. They're not going to risk it. Right? But they don't want to hear him bitching and moaning anymore. And the only reason that he's doing that is because these new people have showed up and found the group, and now they've exposed them. And so if he was left the way that the group used to survive, he probably would have been differently taken care of. But something changed this dynamic. Again, don't interfere. When DiCaprio interfered on his quest for the green movement in the movie, The Beach, and they drug the guy out so they couldn't hear him anymore, and they abandoned him there. I forget, out of sight, out of mind, and that's what a lot of things happen with these abandoned embryos. Nobody thinks twice. What are they going to do? They are too chicken shit to walk in there and say, give me my little vial, and then walk out with the vial and then just like throw it in the trash. There, done. Aborted, right? They won't do that. They want it to be someone else's moral dilemma, used and paid for by, citizens' tax dollars. Isn't that sad? Thank you, SS. Okay. All right. So, what are we doing with them? It's a thorny one. They even said it's a thorn in their side. Who should assume ownership? So it reminds me a lot of those abandoned storage units, which ironically, and by the way, was also somewhat of a phenomenon at the same time in history when we were having these fertility abandonments become to light. So why not? Why not do the same thing? The highest bidder. They have been abandoned. So it's not known precisely how many have been abandoned in the more than 500 clinics. The clinics are not required by the CDC or the Society for Assisted Reproductive Technology. So that was that group right here. that wrote, nope, that wrote this. Nope, that's not it. That wrote this. Now, fudgesicles, I've already lost it. That original paper. Okay, that's not them. Oh no, I lost the whole kit and caboodle. I don't even know where it was. Okay. Remember I showed you the original paper that was talking about that from 1999, I think it was, or 89 or something like that, 1990, that was talking about these two groups, but all the way back then, 20 years ago, clearly, since this was 2019, well over 20 years ago. These two groups still haven't figured out what the fuck to do, even though they just wrote a paper. I'm going back to find that fucking paper. Come on. Come on. You don't really believe that, do you? There it is. There it is. Look at that. It's right there. Come on. Here it is. 1999. 1999. They are. All right. Look, there they are. Oh, well, the CDC wasn't involved, but that AAAS was. Assisted is that not the same thing? No, it's not even the same thing. I thought that was the assisted oh, okay. My bad. I take back everything I said. Count that as one of my blonde moments. Abandoned embryos are a big problem. Nonetheless, the paper talks about it from 1999. Okay. So then we have some, Dr. Arthur Chaplin. So the writer of Chaps. Journal of Nature Biotechnology. He's the nation's leading bioethicist. Is he? Is he the leading? He knows all about, efficacy, ethics. He has a degree in ethics. He's a member of the Triangle Group. Look, he's a professor at New York University of Medical School. He stated that there are at least 90,000 frozen embryos considered abandoned in the U.S. Studies indicate the number is much higher, possibly in the millions. One of the 4 fertility doctors NBC News spoke to, along with 2 embryologists, 2 fertility coordinators, and a fertility attorney. No one said they knew of clinics that are not dealing with it. It's a big problem. What are we gonna do? Ideas, everybody. Throw them. They were not prepared, they say. That is bullshit. How are you not prepared? You should have assumed that laboratories assume they're going to have extra rats and what to do with them, the extras. How are you not prepared? That either makes you incompetent or you did it with intent to prepare a situation in the future where you would have to go, oh my God, everybody, and have like a, Home Alone moment with your hands on your cheeks. Oh, we have too many eggs. What are we going to do? Stacking the deck is what they call that in magic. It's where they prepared and put those declassified alien abduction and UFO documents. They planted those in back drawers of filing rooms back in the 60s to be released 20 years later so that you would think that it was classified. We're not talking OJ's stupidity of planting a glove, right? We're talking about deep state think tanks of death's ideas to prepare for a future where embryos are going to be needed for scientific purposes like transhumanism. And they need these stem cells en masse for their satanic worships. Or maybe they're cloning centers underground. Or maybe, I was thinking of some sci-fi. You want an open thought idea? Here's an idea. Not only did I think recently that the UFO phenomenon we're seeing is actually the Space Force flying around in their thinking they're in space when they're really just it's possible they think they're on another planet even, and that we're not human, and what they see in their little eye hole thingies or their little goggles are not human beings. It's very possible these people could have some type of eye thing that gives them Pokemon when they are just walking around. And so, alien invasion might very well be an invasion on it, man invading its own self, which sounds very much like a sci-fi movie. And theoretically possible, minus magic. Minus supernatural. Minus real aliens from another planet. Minus demon lizard people underground. That's not so far-fetched. Okay. So I had this thought, all of these people flooding over immigration thought. My immigration thought went like this. So it seems that we have a specific gender and age taking place, a lot more disproportionate to women and children. I think most every country is having an influx of one specific gender and age, and not so much the others. So I would really love to have somebody say, no, Joni, you're wrong there. Look, this country has more women and children than they do young men. And I'd go, oh, rad, I'm moving there. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm seeing some type, and if I can think of it, they can think of it. So they incompetent or intentional. And well, let's just say that possibly, these young men are cloned, embryoed, robots. I don't know, whatever you want to, whatever flavor Kool-Aid and how far down that rainbow you want to go for what their technology could do to recreate a person. Even if it's a baby implanted. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know where they're coming from. They say they're coming from there, but they appear to have no parents. They appear to have no families. Are they coming out from underground bunkers? Is that where their buses are coming from? Seen such things in episodes of Buffy and, I don't know, Resident Evil. Oh, another one. What? iRobot with Will Smith? Aren't they all in little train cars? Imagine if they have skin that is grown over them, because the like we see in the sci-fi Bionic Man is just a robot, and then it goes into this little water thing, and the skin and the tissues grow around it like a rat, an ear on a rat. Those are things they tell me they can do. It's not that far for me to assume that maybe some of these immigrants might be. And that makes a great plot for a sci-fi movie if anybody's looking for a script. I would watch it because it sounds interesting and different. And at any moment, they might, hello, Radio Few Men, welcome. Maybe any minute they're going to be turned on or switched on. They're going to start acting peculiar. Is Joni Rotten thinking about fan fiction, or is she predicting the future? I don't know. Only time will tell. But I do find it interesting enough to ask questions about, especially when I read shit like this, and all of their technologies and nanodusts. It's hard for me. So either I have to believe that they can do this and have been doing it, or I believe that they haven't done any of it, and it's all a lie. I believe that they're doing it. They have been doing it, and that the lie is that they're telling you that this is how far away they are, when in reality they've passed that singularity point. Yeah. Because they make children droids. They made children droids, right? That's right. Very good, SS. I haven't seen that movie in a while now. I'm wanting to watch it, but then I can't stand Will Smith. So he's in the top 5. Nicolas Cage is number 1. I cannot watch a Nicolas Cage movie. Can I just say he's a horrible actor? And I just find him obnoxious. And I have no idea why he is surpassing Kevin Bacon for 6 Degrees of Hollywood. But, oh well. Right. You know, and that's very true, Affluent. And because I know the pattern of immigration, and because as a human being, I accept it as part of the nothing new under the sun, and it's a pattern of behavior, I don't question it past, why are they having a bunch of young men? But Joni does, because Joni likes fan fiction, and she thinks, what if those young men are not really human in some way? Maybe they have been nanobotted. Maybe their brains have been opened up and little tiny wires have been implanted into their brain probes. And these men are waiting for a signal to turn them on. I don't know. Stranger things have happened. I know that they can do that with a rat and a turtle and a bird with tiny wires in their brain. And then I know that they can do it with nanodust now, where they don't even have to open the brain. They can just blow the shit on you like a magician with some glitter. Don't clowns like confetti? Go to sleep. Sounds very witch doctory, which makes me think of Hillary Clinton. Voodoo, voodoo, and these types of things. Yeah, so does anybody? No, young men, 20 to 25 years fits the timeline in 2000. And Buffy's asking questions now. Interesting. I see a pattern. No, that's iRobot, Joni, but I agree. X. Okay, AI. Oh, right. Oh, that was the one with Jude Law, SS. That one I do like. I think that is a very interesting fairy tale with the whole blue fairy and the whole 9 yards. I know a lot of people, it is Pinocchio-esque, but if I ever did a movie if I ever get myself together to do movie breakdowns, that's one that I'd show you a lot of other hidden gems in that movie that nobody that does the breakdowns tends to notice. But then that's just me with breakdowns. So always note the off stuff that nobody else sees. And I'm that's not a, oh, ooh, I'm so good. It just, I've been told that. That's what people tell me. Where did you see that from? I don't know. I just see it. You don't see that there in the back. When I was young, I used to like to work in theater, but not on stage. I liked the backstage work. And that's part of my personality, to notice things like that. So the set design and all of that, I liked as an art form because it was extremely powerful. And I'd see set designers and directors and, you know, even the staff there that might be doing this or that add their own little touches. The costume designer likes a little of this, and she adds her own personal flair to it. So when you start looking at a scene, you can kind of start to pick out whose flair is added. What was there because it has an intent for the scene, and what was in there because it has something to do, a private joke between the costume designer and you know, those two, or something like that, or an homage out there. You know, a lapel pin could very well say, you know, something to other costume designers. It's like secret codes. So that's kind of stuff, and why I see it, just because I found it fascinating when I was a kid, and puzzles and, you know, mysteries and stuff. So when I'm watching a film, I'm looking at these things more than I am what's going on in the stage. So I guess, you know, that's what I mean by that. I'm good at it because I've had a lot of practice at it, and it's just something that I find interesting. I like the blue fairy. Do you, Becca? We should do a stream just on the blue fairy. Everybody go research everything you know about the blue fairy. I'll put up a stream, like, you know, I should do more of that. Like in 1 week, when I get my channel back, I'll do it. We need people not ruined by poison. It's the same for, right. Ooh, I like Nicolas Cage. Uh, I can't even watch him. I've never seen National Treasure. I've never seen Ghost Rider. I refuse to watch them. I won't watch them. You'll have to tell me. If Nicolas Cage wasn't in them, I would see them. The fact that he is in it. I wanted to see Wicker Man so bad. I swallowed it. The only Nicolas Cage movie I've ever seen that I liked was Raising Arizona. That's it. The rest of them all make me want to vomit. I literally am rolling my eyes. Oh my God. I don't know what it is about the guy, but he annoys me. Do you have it? Tell me who you guys have. Like, do you have an actor or an actress like that you're just completely repulsed by, you know? And did I do that? Ooh, good, Betha? Ooh! No, Con Air! No, gross! I think I did watch, I did see Con Air and I did see Two-Faced. Again, bad. Just bad. They're just bad. Okay. We're not prepared for any of this. Anyway, that's all. Just that stuff about, I've shared a lot of stuff about the nanoparticles, the nanodust, and what their claims are. So whether or not you want to believe that they can blow glitter in your face and turn you into a zombie is irrelevant. They claim they can, or at least they're trying to. And that is what they're claiming. They are saying we want nanodust so that we can blow it on or introduce it to a host and it can go to business to cure its cancer. Okay. So that is what they're doing. That is their intent. Now, what if that nanodust isn't programmed to go after, say, cancer, but instead programmed to attack your heart or your liver or, clog your arteries or go to your brain and turn off different synapses? They're also doing research in that with lab rats at the moment. But they do make sure to say, we would never consider trying this on humans. You're already doing that in underground bunkers. That's your human trafficking. Look, those amount of human trafficking, this is me talking to myself, not necessarily you guys. I realize that you already know all this shit. I'm saying it out loud to the universe for those who have ears to hear. And then may it go into the unconscious ether that seeps into all of the robots' minds. And I don't mean robot, I mean humans that are acting like weirdos. The normals, I guess. These that's my train of thought again. I wasn't prepared for any of this. Oh my God. Oh, human trafficking. So I just heard a lady, it's coming out now. Everybody's getting in trouble. Everybody's getting their name thrown around. And it doesn't seem to matter. Hillary and the Clintons have had their name. Fauci, they all get their name drugged through the mud like a good, Masonic ritual of humiliation. And then and they're better than they were before. They win man of the fucking year. Go fuck off. That's a trial by fire, right? That's an initiation by fire. They're already telling you, Fauci never even sweated a bullet. Look, when Prince Edward says, I don't sweat, that's because he doesn't. He has no guilt. He has no remorse. He has no feelings on the matter. Therefore, he doesn't sweat it. It's a metaphor for don't sweat it. I'm not worried. What are you going to do? I'm the Queen's fucking son, for God's sakes. What are you going to do? Even if you did catch me full to rights, I'm going to have a body double sitting in jail for me. So get out of here with all that. I'm just going to keep doing it. They're going to bring him to me in prison if I am in prison. Come on. You don't really believe that I'm going to get in trouble, do you? Of course he's not sweating it. Neither is Fauci. That's why they can proudly go a day after somebody's called him a complete douchebag, publicly humiliated them and said, look at you. He's been hanging out with Epstein and fiddling little girls. And the next day the guy comes out and announces he's running for candidacy. Ha! Come on. They don't sweat. They don't sweat it. It's no skin off their teeth. I love a poke. Yes, please, Beffa, come. It's rant time. You're welcome to take over my channel and poke and give your thoughts of what I've made you think of here during these. I love this. This is great, but I'm an inspirer. I like to be a muse. I want to inspire thought and discussion. I don't necessarily always want to lead it, although I can. It's not I'm not very good at it, as you see. I'm not very organized, and I'm not sure I even want to be, honestly. You know, maybe this is just how I work. Maybe that's what keeps us special. You know, so pick it. Yeah, these masks. And now another idea. Come in my ideas. We're waiting on Buffa because this is a short one. Here's another sci-fi idea, a little fan fiction for you. Joni writes fan fiction. Hey, I used to do that for real and publish it on fan fiction websites. Okay, are you surprised by that? No. Do you want to know what shows I used to write for? You'll have to ask me. Okay. Fan fiction idea. 6 Impossible Things Before Breakfast. Here's my idea. So, hang on, I forgot it again. Why do I do that? Why do I do that? Doesn't matter. Beth is here. So I'm out. I'm out. I got, yay. Look, Saved by the Bell.
Oh, no.
Okay.
You're chickening out.
I forgot what I'm such an idiot. I go, here's something good. And then I go, here's what I want to tell you. And then I tell you all the reasons why. And then I forget what the fuck. I was even
So do I.
I know we all do it. I said, why do we do that?
That was funny. You don't like Nicolas Cage. I'm gonna defend national treasure that he is in.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, so this is a positive, and SS is his research little project. But with the map, he has to go around collecting artifacts, blah blah blah, to obviously solve the treasure map. You know, that's the whole point of the franchise. But there's one bit of it where he goes to the Liberty Bell to find the red lens and the blue lens, and we're talking about the different lens glasses, so that you can see, you know, hidden messages in obviously the Declaration of America. So that's why I like him for that. So I probably like the staging props of the film rather than Nicolas Cage. But if you want to, I'll defend Nick. You can't sit through a Nicolas Cage film. I can't sit.
That movie before, and Da Vinci Code, and
yeah, I didn't watch that. I couldn't sit through that. That was just no. I can't. I'm sorry. Like some, you know, people go, oh, Dan Brown. I'm like, yeah, piece of poops. I can't. It does not. I'm sorry. I've picked that book up so many times, and I've got to page 3. I can't. Call me stupid. I can't.
So is it the book not good either?
Yeah, no, I can't get past. I can't get through. But I think I've caught the end of the film. I think the film's Tom Hanks, isn't it? So I can't watch that, and I can't get past. I've had the book. You know, you've got to read it. Can't get past it. The only other book I couldn't get past, this is how I found a way of speed reading, was 50 Shades of Grey. The same with that book. Same with the film, actually. If you do it on fast forward, it's a much better experience. So with reading, I read the back page. I read the back page first. Then I go to the front of the book. I read the front page, which is normally the worst part. Then I sort of I pick a chunk, read a double page perhaps. Pick a chunk, read a double page. Pick a double chunk. Get to the end. I'm done in 10 minutes. I'm clean.
One soap opera a week, and you know what? Everything that's going on.
Yeah. Oh, you are good. I should read more. I'm reading a lot. I read far too much, like scientific papers.
That's me.
So, like you say, it's because, like, I get something from it. I feel, I learned. What have I learned today? I can say I've learned something today, and I know you should balance that with reading fiction, watching fictional films, not decoding everything. Don't decode everything, you know, because going back, I'm going to go rewind all the way back to something you said before about if you had really bad anxiety, you would end up becoming hypervigilant, and therefore one thing just could really, you know, OCD, you'd get just really taken over by it. And yeah, and somebody next door, this was, you know, what did I learn today? Their mum got into, well, has just been discharged but done 6 days inside you know, an institution. Her flat below her make noise, therefore she can only hear the noise. She can't sleep, she hasn't slept, and at 4 a.m. she rang the police. You've got the ambulance. She said, I'm gonna light a fire, which doesn't go down quite well. And so she had to be sectioned for 6 days. But there's nothing, but what's wrong with her? Well, I tell you what, me as a sane person, I go, wait a second, she hasn't slept. Her serotonin and cortisol are all completely out. Give her a little bit of a sedative, get her sleep back on track, she'll be right as rain. And so, yeah, it was a very short stay, but it's to do with her living circumstances has made her hypervigilant to noise, which then means everything's making noise, and everything is obviously going to that nth extreme that she goes, I'm going to burn the flat down because I don't know what else to do. So it's a desperation. And I think I wish, well, the police are supposed to be trained in it to recognise that desperation. When have you got not to your boiling point? When is the boiling point about to happen?
Well, and is that the police's job? Whose job is that?
They were on the radio and they were saying we are not solving crimes, we are not recording crimes, we are the jigsaw service, basically picking up other services work, because no one in other services are working from home.
Oh my God, they've become the general practitioner.
Yes.
Because
and they don't have enough skills. They don't have enough skills, resources, money. That's not what probably the people who are going out to deal with a mental health patient, that's not what they should be there for. And so an ambulance service is appropriate, but during COVID lockdown, I had an allergy attack, and so I went to hospital and I met a guy who in his 20s, and he said, I'm going to jump off a bridge. Basically, he just wanted methadone, and because of bank holiday, the day ended in Y, he hadn't been able to collect his prescription for methadone, so he sat on a bridge, was threatening to do something. So obviously ambulance service take him into A&E, and he goes, all I need is methadone, and that will just calm me down. I'll be fine. Bit of diazepam, bit of methadone, I'll be fine. So he actually had already recognised how to fix himself. But in A&E, they're like, no, we need to get a psych person. And it was Friday. It's 9 o'clock, and basically that person's knocked off until Monday because no one's ill at the weekend.
Right.
And so basically he was hacked off. So, well, I had some things lying around and said, I'm not methadone. I said, I've got some like, you know, sleeping, you know, I've got something that will calm you down if you want. And so basically he didn't have anywhere to stay. I offered a bed surf. That obviously went down like a lead balloon with my other half, but it was just helping out someone. It was a particularly weird time. I did help him about 6 months after, but you know, if you collect a lame duck, you cannot aid you can't cure someone.
Right.
So I may have had I want to fix you, and you know, everyone else, like we had experience with in the family with somebody else's like schizophrenia, so we know how social services work. But I'm quite good at phoning up services and saying, right, I've got this person, I'm speaking on their behalf, they can't do it because they're, you know, lazy, not lazy, they're not enabled, they can't do it for themselves, but I'll speak they're not capable, I will speak as their representative. What can you do? And of course, that just giving someone a leg up is all I have to do. I haven't got any money, I haven't got money, I've got time and I've got skills at negotiation, and I can see a need, fill a need, but at the same time I can't, you know, like, you've got to help yourself. Everyone's got to help themselves, haven't they? And it's sometimes these people who are trapped in certain repetitive behavior, vicious circle. You can't help everyone, but you can make their life tolerable. You don't need to be mean. There's been things obviously in the news of kids wanting to be mean to homeless people just for TikTok videos, blah blah blah. We had riots. Joni, you won't know.
So tell me, what about that? How do you feel about that? Where was that to you?
SS gave me a heads up. So Based Welshman, he's actually a really good what do you call it? Citizen journalist. That's it. Okay. So Based Welshman, police abusing powers. PAP. He was then streaming Based Welshman as well. Lots of people have been streaming Based Welshman. Imagine someone like, you remember, you go about numbers. I'm such a little person. Imagine you make one video and it says 18,000 views. So this is last night. I took a picture of the area. There's one police helicopter. I'm going to say, if it was a major incident, when we've gone to London, there's been a media helicopter, 2 police helicopters, but there's been 3 helicopters in the sky when we've been to London as all the people of UK. If you don't like what's happening, please meet in London on a Saturday. Those things. So I'm used to seeing 3, and the fact there was only 1 police helicopter, I was like, meh. It's like, to me, it was like nothing. So, and the people, there was lots of people in their shorts and t-shirts. They've had a really nice day. It's hot. And then you've got, you need Benny Hill music. So you've got this line. You've got this line of people in hats and clear shields, because they don't know what their emblem is yet. they haven't found the rainbow paint. So there's a line of people wearing hats and clear shields, and they kind of jump forward, then they go backwards a bit, and you've just got this cat and mouse game. And the people at the front have got convenient, I don't know where they got them from, because if you live in a town, we don't have those pallets of bricks lying around, but conveniently there happen to be large rocks and some bricks, not whole bricks, but large rocks. There were some rocks
placed there that wouldn't normally be there.
I'm just saying, perhaps in Cardiff they've got really rocky soil that is like hand-sized rocks, but where I live, I don't have that. So I can't really comment on that. But they had things they could throw. So they had things they could find and throw, and being resourceful. I don't want to ever call the youth stupid. They've taken t-shirts and like pushed them over their whole head and just cut 2 eye holes. They looked absolutely preposterous. And some people, obviously, because I'm so brave, I must wear my mask, because I might be scared. I'm scared of air germs, but I'm not scared of people with clear shields. So that also made me laugh. And then you've got literally how I'm dressed now, shorts and t-shirt, and someone goes, wait a second, I live in this road. This has all escalated rather quickly.
Right, I noticed that there was like houses across the street.
Yes, it's a neighborhood.
It's freaking out in my house.
Well, no, because in England, people are going, well, you can't obviously leave your house. That's why you can see people looking out their windows. And they're going, wait a second, I just live in urban, residential, nothing happens. And then all of a sudden, like a movie set descends into the road.
Oh, for fuck's sakes, Buffa. That is what happened. A movie set.
Yeah, a movie set.
On, and everybody was going, look at their movie set. That's what you just had.
Yeah.
What's going on? Something's all fucked up in the world.
But it's even better, because obviously when it sort of dissipates out, even better is then this morning on we kind of call him I call him Jeremy Creepervine. He does a radio show, but he does a TV show, and then he gets in a taxi and goes to the radio studio. It's so he works for Channel 5 and then he goes on to BBC. And Jeremy Creepervine, let's discuss the papers, let's discuss the news. Not a single mention. Complete crickets. But talk radio, it managed to make it to the 12 o'clock news. I don't know if it was on the 8 o'clock news because Mike Graham wasn't talking about it at 10 o'clock. By 12 p.m, BBC News, so at 7 p.m. this morning, it said 3 hours old. In the title, it says 2 teenagers have, was it? It had the word like alleged or may. So let's just say that. So the headline on BBC this.
Oops. We lost Bethany for a minute. Or has everyone lost her? Oh no. She lost her connection. She'll be back in a minute. Isn't that a great name, Bad Dog? It's a good channel name. I love creative. Get creative with your handle name. You know, that's a good trucker name. We all got a Bad Dog. Same for good Betty. There she is. Smoking a G-sharp. You see something coming up your way? No, I do not. Anyway, yes.
Oh, sorry. Where was I up to in the story?
I don't know. You blocked out somewhere.
Oh, I don't know. Where was I up to?
You were talking about. I don't even remember now.
Oh, crumbs. Did I say about the BBC News have been editing and changing the story this morning?
We were talking about the riots.
Yeah. So they start off with the word 2 children, 2 youths may have been killed, half killed,
Right.
fully killed. I don't know how you can be a quarter killed, may have been killed, but it wasn't the police. That's what the headline was this morning. Then it kind of
by police, that the police did it.
Yeah, no. No, this is how it started at 7 a.m. And as we've gone from 7 a.m. to 12 p.m, headline has morphed. It's changed.
Okay, I got you now.
Okay. Yeah. So as more people are going, wait a second, citizen journalist. No, I know exactly what happened. That's not right. And so and then that's when I joined in at 12 o'clock and talk radio. They actually got a police officer. That's how I know about police. Were just saying we're being asked to do too much. This isn't our remit. And just look at what's happened in Cardiff was like the tag along line. So basically, the reason there were 2 people killed is because 2 children, they said they were on e-scooters, but someone then said it was an e-bike. So basically, you've got 2 people on one.
Uh-oh. They don't want her talking about this, clearly. Oh, she's back again. Let's trade her. You're back. Nope. Are you here? We can't hear you. Oh, no. An e-bike. It was an e-bike. Oh, man. Bertha, come back. Don't you think her little thing, it looks like a nose. It looks like a face in there. It's like on the left side, it's like half of a face with a big nose and a sad mouth and a dark eye and some hair from the tree branches there. And every time she comes up from my distance, I'm sitting from my computer. It just looks like there's a little face. That's all I can see staring at me. The man in the tree. That's all I can see. The man in the tree staring back at me. Okay. She'll be back. What do we do while we're waiting? I didn't bring anything. I should have brought some trivia cards or something. Okay. Oh, I have a question. Here's a question that you and I were thinking of yesterday. What would you want for your last meal? Let's just pretend that, for whatever reason you have one last meal. It's the last day on earth. Whatever you want to pretend for your, moment. Even if it's Jesus himself is taking you to heaven, but he says, hey, you can have one last meal here on earth. You don't have to go bad with it. What would you pick? What would your meal be? What would you want? You get a 4-course meal, I suppose. So that gives, and a drink. Put your answers. Yes, Buffa's back.
Oh my God. Right. Too hot. That topic is too hot.
Apparently. Keep going.
Oh.
I'm loving it. So the original, the original headline read, and now what did it read?
Oh, so the original one was like a may have been caused, and then it changed, and then they said we have investigated. It most definitely wasn't. So then when it kind of morphed at 10 o'clock, it said wasn't anything connected to do with the force. And then at 12 o'clock, it was like, we have a dedicated team investigating. But this goes back to a private conversation I had, which was to do with, I've had some people riding. So that was 2 children. So 1 driver and a pillion. That's why there's 2 people. And I said, I'm really peed off to the point where I was going to stick my car door out. We had 2 people racing dirt bikes on the road, no helmets, and again with a bandana over the nose and the mouth. And I said, I'm really hacked off. There's a one-way system. It's only like a row of shops, but you have to go in a one-way system, and they're going down the wrong way. And I was talking to someone in the phone before going to the shop, and I said, do you know what, I'm really tempted to just open my car door. I'm that hacked off. They've been doing it on the grass at the park, racing around. So I'm sitting in my garden trying to talk nicely to my plants and trying to make everything grow. And I've got this motorbike noise. And as far as I know, they don't live around here. And someone said, if you don't wear a helmet, then the police can't knock you off, because then there's a very strong probability that you're going to die. And so I thought that's quite a good point, because if you were a normal motorbike, dirt bike, off-road or road user, you would actually wear a helmet. We used to do dirt bike racing. So you have your plastics underneath. God, I bought for my ex, I bought a load of plastics, like £85. I was like going, wow, look, I've bought a load of plastics. And he goes, wrong brand. I was like, how? It does the same function. It's not even your overshirt. It wasn't even your overshirt and your matching bloody trousers. It was your under. And he's like, no, I take my chest and my back and elbow, my sort of your chest piece. I take that. That's got to be the highest you possibly can afford on your budget, because that's what's going to save you when you come off your bike. Right. So I do take that. I know you don't want a piece of plastic that breaks. I do get that, but some of it I'm like, that's just vanity. I've gone out of my way to buy this crappy thing for you. Right. But anyway, but you'd always obviously have your helmet, and like for little ones, you wear like the ring round your neck as well, just to stop your head ricocheting backwards and forwards, and you're getting neck top C1, C2 breakages. So it really does annoy me. And I really liked, when I was going in the comments, I really liked that someone said, were 2 children chased by the police, or were 2 youths escaping the police, or were the police just helping escort them back home? And what I'm saying is, if they are painting this, so although the story didn't come on the news, Jeremy Creeper Vine commented about we're going to have loads of strikes and called it the summer of discontent. And I went, now you're talking. So we're planting the seeds. As I've just shown you, we've had people stand in the back going, this is a quiet little road. Oh God, we've got a movie. This war movie has just turned up backwards and forwards. We just need a bit of Benny Hill music. It's a stage show. And this morning, in the cold light of day, all you can see is like the black tarmac is white, where every brick has landed and obviously made like a white chip mark. Couple of bins have been pushed into the middle and set alight. There was a piece of footage going around of there is an innocent person whose poor little not expensive car, but probably very useful for getting from A to B. His non-expensive car has been smashed, and that was the one that got torched. But I'm not being funny. When we had
insurance and get a brand new car.
Yeah. Someone said the insurance company will process that one. It's all over the news.
Right. Exactly. So he could have already been in on it.
Well, exactly. This is my car. Thank you. I'll have my AXA money.
Yeah.
So, but where I am, when there was the genuine summer of discontent, so that was caused by the Blackberries and everyone going, right, let's go down to, it was the bull ring. Again, what do we know about the bull now? The Taurus bull in Birmingham. Like, that was all symbolic, wasn't it? And you could tell that was a setup. So, but again, once one person breaks into glass shops and starts thieving, other people go, what? You can take stuff for free. Let's all jump in. And then they started, look, we got your picture, and they started doing the court sentencing. So that didn't end well. What's that?
With them. Anybody that does anything. So again, anybody that does anything there, let's say 20 people pop off and 2 or 3 of, let's just say 5 join in because they're dumb. They're the only 5 that's going to get convicted. The rest of them are undercover agents trying to get to catch yourself, trying to get you to forget that there's cameras everywhere and you're just talking to your friend on TikTok. Right? There's no way you're going to convince me that anybody's going to do any kind of damage or vandalism with or without a mask at any time right now and them not know and get away with it. So you have to think then that has to be, it must be planned. They have to have been, I think we lost Beffa again. It must have been a planned event because I think people are smarter than that these days. Are we really forgetting that they'll know? I don't believe any crimes can be committed these days. Just don't, I'm not buying that. Somebody somewhere. So which is it? They're either telling me that they've got this great grid system, or they're telling me that, they can't catch a horned guy driving across the country from the capital to Arizona in 2 weeks. You can't catch that guy? What? Get out of here. That makes no sense. You lost me in this film here. I think too much for this type of writing. And you didn't claim it was Quentin Tarantino, so I can't really go beyond imagination here because you're not selling it to me as a sci-fi movie. You're trying to sell it to me as a reality. Yes, you're back. No, you're not. That's very interesting about, just the way you describe it as being something seen. I remember the protests that were going on last year during the COVID and, any of those riots. There's been riots for all kinds of things lately. And I remember how many people were decoding them and going, look, they're all of the same film crew. They're all the same extras. They were at this protest. They were at this protest, and look, they all own this group, this what was it? You could hire them, extras, and they would perform a protest for you. What? That was a real thing. This is a real thing. Does anybody remember that, or should I go try to see if I can find it again? It was going on right at the beginning of COVID. So the summer of 2020, there were a lot of us. I met some of my friends I have today during that time where we were looking at, these videos that they were over here. And now that's the same girl. That's the same girl that was in that one. That's the same guy that was in that guy's at every protest. Right? As if they're hired. and they have film crews and they're walking in with costumes, and then you even got a few leaked photographs showing that it really wasn't as big as it was, and you better remember all that stuff. Strange things are happening to me. Strange things. That song would play in my head all the time for a minute when I was, having my breakdown. I would hear that song in my head. Strange things are happening to me. Buff is back. I don't have to sing anymore.
Oh, Joni. Just sing, Joni.
Strange things. I don't want to sing.
I've worked out what it is. I've come off of the house Wi-Fi. Is it's recording what goes through the phone voice, and I think it's running it through an algorithm of the house. But if I come off the house Wi-Fi and go data roaming, I'm absolutely fine. This has been happening on Signal. This happens on like Telegram chat.
Yeah. You've been having a problem for a minute.
Yeah, if I come off of my home Wi-Fi network. Also, obviously, the two children are home and the other half's home, and everyone's streaming. I'm on a little phone, and I get whatever electricity is left. I get Wi-Fi dregs.
Who knows? There's got to be somebody that knows for a fact that's not true. That does not sound right to me. Where you tell me that when there's more people on the system, suddenly I can't use it. That sounds like old internet thinking, not new, not today.
Joni, I don't know what it is. I just don't think it wants me playing with any of my friends, because whenever I'm talking to my friends,
yes,
I'm the one that gets booted out. And yet they all seem to be fine. So I only put it that it must divert power from like the most juicy, like a online game connection, 2 iPads. I'm on an S10 phone, and it just goes, yeah, we haven't got enough left for you. Sorry. Right. But when I go on to date, but it's keywords, because I this happens to me during the day as well. So you're absolutely right. I know this is strange. Look, I'm backwards. Do I care about ICT? No, I hate it.
On that, Buffa, they've got us all convinced that's how it works, and I'm just questioning. That doesn't seem right to me.
Joni, I don't have the crayons or the paper to work it out. I give no ducks to that cause. That's a no duck. That's a dead duck. That's a dead duck. That's a dead duck in the water. Me working out how internet and networks work. Dead duck. I have no intention. I'm quite happy to be a fungi mushroom left in the dark. I care tuppence.
Exactly.
There you go. Things that Buffer won't touch with a barge pole. Anything to do with computers or ICT.
I'm just saying. And I don't even really want to know. Nothing's drawn me that you should do that. I'm not drawn like that. No.
Yeah, apart from like we're saying, apart from nanotechnology, microchips in humans, anything to do with biology, then I'm all over it. Anything to do with physics, anything to do with, like we say, toroidal energy, earth field energy, magnetism, ether, all of that, definitely into that. When it comes to, can you get your home Wi-Fi to work? No, and I don't care. I call stupid when I phone up them. I had this conversation with someone at school. I said, look at me. He goes, you've downloaded too much. I said, look at me. Do I look like someone who has the capability to download and make files? No, I come to work, open up a document, do my job and go home. You're looking at me like I look like I know what I'm doing. No, you've got the wrong person.
Right.
And do you know what I had to do? I had to delete. Basically, there was 104 downloads, and once you delete off the downloads, the machine was working fine. But I'm working on like a really old clunky machine, and it was taking 15 minutes to load up like a blank Word document just to write your name on a piece of paper. Like, it's quicker to get a pen. My laptop's been awful.
Funny.
But speaking to the ICT man, I said, I've just put a ticket in saying it goes slow. Everything you were saying, I don't understand what you were saying. The problem is it goes slow. I've given it to you for an hour and a half. Does it now go fast? That's all I need to know. I don't need to know anything else.
Right. You fixed it. Yes, ma'am. Good. Thank you. See you later.
Yeah, and he hadn't fixed it. He just said, well, you've got too many downloads. And I said, but I haven't done that. This is a bit like you say, this is the workplace make me use this system. I didn't design the system. They make me use this system. And that's why every time you want to open something, you have to download it. Get rid of your downloads. This is a bit like going, no, that's interesting actually, because I used to do this on my phone. You know, you go to the recycle bin and you might purge and you might get rid of your recycle things. Well, guess what? You've now got a tab, a bit like the emergency alert. You've now got to turn off your recycle bin because everything in your recycle bin is held on your phone for 30 days. So going back to what you said, if you are at a location, they will pick your phone up, and even if you've quickly put things into a recycle bin, it's held in the cloud for 30 days. What kind of rubbish is that? That's no good.
Well, that's so they can catch you doing bad things. But
Yes.
the trash, I gotta have time to dig through your garbage before it gets.
Joni, I've sniffed it out already. I've turned that function off.
Do you remember when they actually used to, I think it was Firefox, you put it in the trash bin and it would have like a little flame or something. Shh.
Oh, I like that.
Those ones had a little flame sound.
Yeah, that would give me much pleasure to see my trash, because it's ridiculous, you know. So a lot of this, I've got a piece of paper over my front camera, but sometimes you go to take a photo and it's front camera, back camera, isn't it? So, this is hilarious. I fell over. Dear Joni, for what I'm about to say, I confess my sins. Okay, my neighbour, all here. My neighbour kidnapped me, plied me with wine. I was fine, sort of, at their house. I bent over to look at a plant and slipped on their very posh new kind of laminate floor. Finished my glass and went, oh gosh, 10 o'clock, I'm going home. I sort of jogged across 20 steps to my front door. I was fine getting in, fine going up the stairs. Suddenly on the second floor, I went, blooming hell, the air has got to me. And then I was like wonky donkey and I couldn't walk in a straight line. And for some reason, my other half decided, don't walk round the bed. Why don't you climb on the bed? So I lifted up one leg to climb over the end of the bed. But being a little bit intoxicated, balancing on one leg, this was not the day to try that new skill. I fell over and the sharp edge of the like foot-high bedpost sort of attacked my rib cage on my leg. So then my other half says, oh, I think you need to, you know, I'm going, oh, you look very pretty tonight, my other half. And he says, oh, okay, but you need to go brush your teeth. Well, again, that's really quite a leaded question. So I had to get out of the bed and get to the bathroom. Then the radiator in the bathroom attacked me as well from the wall. I get back into the bed and go, Jesus crumbs, I feel like I've been through the mill a bit. And apparently I was just given a, there, it's okay, lay your head down and go to sleep. I wake up in the morning with like as big as my hands, like a long bruise across my leg. So I was like going, blooming hell, how did I do that? And then I start going through my steps. So I take a picture because of this front camera, back camera. Like, I can't tell what body part it is. Like, if you can, like, good on you. If you want to go through my phone and work out what piece of body it is. But you do sometimes do that. You're in the bathroom and you go, have I just taken a picture of myself? And I'm going, oh yeah, that's right. Like, I don't like to wear many clothes. I am a little bit kind of like that. And so if I'm in my own home, I'm taking a picture of the TV and suddenly I'm like going, no, there was a mirror. That was it. It was in the bathroom. There was a mirror.
I had a page I had a Facebook page in the early days of Facebook.
Yes! The Facebook mirror
fails in the bathroom are assholes. It was just nothing but poster pictures of people who take pictures of themselves in the background.
Oh God. There's that
And
one, isn't there, of that girl? There's a really pretty girl, and there's a man with his trousers by his ankles sitting on the loo in the background.
I saw one where a guy was taking a picture. It was like that, the channel reflective images. The guy was taking a picture of a teapot and had put it for sale on eBay.
Oh,
But he was naked. You could see the teapot. It cracked me up back then. And so I was like, I gotta have my own fan page for people to share.
yeah.
Right now, I don't have
And that fit.
that was decades ago. That was like right at oops. Darn it, Buffa. That was right at the crossover of the MySpace to the Facebook. And people were finding all these funny pictures on Etsy and eBay and oh man, before we had really cameras on. I didn't know. It's a long time ago. It doesn't seem like that long ago, but clearly tech-wise, it was a very long time ago. That was back when Etsy actually had artists still on their website. They do not have it anymore. A lot of stuff's changed. The old good days of eBay. Do you remember when eBay was good? It was like an online yard sale. You could find so many. Nobody was given, if nobody had, the millennials hadn't shown up with, look, I could charge and call it retro. Totally different experience back then. Now it sucks. Okay, she's back. All right.
Oh, sorry. So I was going back to that ego. If people are too busy checking their eyebrows, eyes, teeth, tits, they're just not looking in the background. And it's funny because we're looking at it and we're going, stuff what's going on in the foreground. The background's really interesting. Or like you say, there's a reflection in a shiny teapot. I have to close my curtains if I'm recording. And it's the TV and it's late at night or it's first thing in the morning. Even I'm going, I wonder if there's special filters you can put through and if skin tones, like it's been winter, I'm quite luminous white at the moment. Oh, you'll like this one. I was telling my friends, I just went out for lunch with my friends. I've been putting that summer tan Garnier stuff on my legs. Anyway, I put it on my legs today and it was a bit white. And I went, oh, taking it's like a long time for it. It went on a bit like sun cream. It just sat there. So I put another smear down the other side of the leg and went, oh. So I started rubbing it around. And then I go, wait a sec. Looked at the bottle. It was hair conditioner. So I'm going to have silky smooth legs.
You're going to have very smooth legs.
So I had to go wash that off stood in the bath, washed off the leg. And basically Garnier have yellow bottles and I have the shampoo. It's like honey shampoo, honey conditioner, and Summer Sun comes in the same yellow bottle. So again, yes, put your eyes in and oh my goodness, at least it wasn't hair remover. Imagine putting hair remover in your hair instead of hair conditioner.
I heard this, there was a call-in radio show, like, one of the radio shows, and they were having people call in. This would have been back in the 90s with, I was in high school with, breakup revenge stories.
Ooh.
And this one girl called in and said that, she waited for him to fall asleep, covered his body in hair removal.
Oh, no.
And then, the next, his hair's coming out, including his genital area and his head. Yeah. Now, terrible. I don't know. True. Somebody could have made that up. I don't know. I don't know about hair. I don't know how long it can stay on or how it even works. But that was the story, and I thought, no, that's a funny movie. That was good because it's like hair would be falling out the next day if it did work like that.
Awful. I used to use those things, but they can. If you have an allergic reaction, every single hair follicle goes red. So this is a bit like waxing. You know how some people do it and their legs are, they put cooling gel and stuff like that. But if you've ever had a bad wax or done it yourself and it's been bad, if you irritate every single hair follicle, you've then got, instead of lovely legs, you've then got bright red, it looks like your legs have got measles. It takes a long while for an allergic reaction to go down. By then, your leg hair's grown back.
Right.
So
this
I've
is her
just been like, not good.
he was cheating on her,
Oh,
right? So this was her doing revenge. So it really wouldn't be good then that he looks like a big. Then somebody has to say, well, why do you look like that? He has to come up with a story for why he looks like that.
I don't know.
Up with.
Perhaps that was karma. That was karma. He deserved it.
Maybe. Have you ever done any revenge in a breakup before?
No, I haven't had to do that. But yeah, we had War of the Roses. I had a year of War of the Roses, and so we wouldn't do the action. We would talk about the action,
right.
And therefore, like War of the Roses, you got to then just double check everything. Right. Hello, right. Here is your lovely pie tonight. I've made it with cat food.
Yeah, that's a psychological warfare, is what you got.
Yes. Are you enjoying your beer? Beer, and I may have put my contact lens solution in it. You don't have to do it. You don't do the action. But he was. If they're my two, he said far worse back to me. Like, honestly, please don't judge me. He was really mean to me. It was like War of the Roses. It got to a point where we were saying really mean things to each other. Yeah, but we didn't do the action. It was all psychological.
Yeah. That's
oh gosh, I'm being told I've got to go. So I'm going to have to jump off. I shall catch up with you, and I shall jump in the panel.
Thanks.
Somebody says I've got to do work because I think my son's supposed to be somewhere at 6 o'clock. So I've got 10 minutes to jump in the car and do some some driving.
All right. Now. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was fun. I like when Buffa stops by the place. Okay, well, I was kind of hoping I'd entice some a few people. Does anybody else want to come and hang out and chat? If not, is there somewhere else more interesting? And maybe that's where everybody is. I don't know. Okay, well, we'll call it quits then, and I'll see everybody around. So have a good day. Bye, guys. Bye, bye, bye. Oh, should we bounce out? We'll bounce out.
This public service announcement is brought to you by Rotten Studios. Remember, no contact is the road to freedom.